Hi everyone and Happy New Year. I hope it's gonna be a great one for you. This is Pierrick from P2design, and I recently discovered a little option hidden in the bone properties, thanks to a tweet by Armin Halak, the great rigger. This is a 1-year-old feature I never saw before, and this will greatly improve my rigging workflow, and here is why. Previously, if I wanted to create any inverse kinematic mechanism, allowing you to move any chain like a full arm using the tip of the chain, I will make sure that the inverse kinematic controller bone will be aligned with world space. So when creating the armature in edit mode, you need the bone to be aligned with the world space axis, exactly as you will do for the root bone. So my root bone and my inverse kinematic controller are aligned or have the same orientation by default. The goal is to give the animator a rig that makes sense. When your inverse kinematic controller are aligned with world space, moving the Z location curve will make the hand move up and down in a straight fashion. The X curve will move the hand from left to right, and the Y curve from front to back. But if I were to build this controller aligned with the hand, as we will do with a forward kinematic mechanism, then reading the curve becomes very complicated. Because now when I play with the transform channel, the hand will move in diagonal, and it makes curve editing absolutely unintuitive. It's like modifying the base orientation of a bouncing ball. Then, while the graph editor makes sense, the animation will become a mess. If it's painful for a bouncing ball, it will be super painful animating an arm or a leg that way. So the hack was to create an IK controller that was aligned with world space, but the problem in the case of the Crimson Ronin here is that the rotation is not super intuitive, especially if you compare it to the rotation of the forward kinematic mechanism. So the other method was to rig the character in perfect T-pose. This way, the forward kinematic and inverse kinematic controllers are aligned with the hand of the character. But the T-pose doesn't look natural at all, and you can see this weird deformation on the shoulders compared to the A pose I have when I'm reposing the character in the way it was modeled. That was fine for me since I was in charge of the modeling and the rigging, but that's not ideal, especially when it comes to advanced deformation where you want to use helper bone. You'd like your character to be in a more natural and relaxed pose in order to properly place your helper bone and know how the character should look when he's relaxed. By the way, you can get those rigs for free on P2designacademy.com, and you can learn to rig them or animate them taking one of my courses. Now let me show you the magic option I discovered thanks to Armin. To demonstrate that, I will quickly edit the rig of the Crimson Ronin. Pressing Alt and right-clicking, I can easily select those two bones and press Shift-H to hide everything else. With both bones selected, I will make the forward kinematic bone active and then press Ctrl-Alt-A to align the inverse kinematic bone with the forward kinematic bone. Then I will just get rid of the custom shape for this bone. It will make our life easier when it comes to reading the bone. If we now give a look to the graph editor, whenever I'm editing the Y location curve, the bone moves along its Y location. And it's not super intuitive, it doesn't move into a perfect vertical motion, and lowering the curve raises the hand. So it's not intuitive at all. And it's the same for all the location axes. If I force the arm to move vertically and then I insert a keyframe, and if we then give a look to the curves, you can see that to move vertically, I need to play with two axes. And this is what we want to avoid. And now we don't need to create the previous architecture for our rig. This thanks to an option that is in the bone properties under relations. By default, it's set to local location, but you can uncheck this. It won't break the bone behavior if it has any constraint, but it will change the way the location curves are used. And you can see here when I move my Z location curve, the hand moves vertically along the global Z axis. And if I test the Y and X axis, you will see that they are following the global coordinate. But unchecking this option doesn't align the coordinates with world space. Now, the bone is using the coordinates of its direct parent. I will unhide everything and just keep the root bone and our controller. But in the meantime, if you feel like you learned something, please consider subscribing, giving a like to this video, and leave a comment. That really helps me growing the channel. Our controller is a child of the root bone. And you can see that the root bone is aligned with world space, which should be the case on most rigs, and you generally parent the inverse kinematic controller to the root. That's why this option makes so much sense when it comes to using inverse kinematic. And if I rotate the root bone, my IK controller doesn't move vertically anymore. It moves as a child of the root bone. So that's something you need to take into account when you are creating switchable parents for your inverse kinematic controllers. You need to make sure that those intermediate or buffer bones are aligned with world space. And that's it. You no longer need to rig your characters in perfect T-pose to get proper coordinates to animate with your inverse kinematic controllers. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon for a new one.